Do you like tea?
Yeah, I drink tea.
Nice. Have you tried chai tea?
I have. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Kind of spicy. Okay, I guess I'll get started. So we're in week 13, which means there's only two more classroom meetings, 14 and 15, and then week 16 is finals week. So we're kind of getting down to the end. If there's any assignments you haven't done, you need to check them in. Your airplane's running out of runway. But we'll talk about that. Part of week 14, I think it's 14, maybe it's 15, is I'm going to set up individual meeting times with everybody, just whatever you want to do, Zoom, email, just to check in where you are and what your grade would be, that kind of thing. Okay, so week 13, we're continuing on the sort of short message stuff. And since there's only a couple of meetings left, we're sort of checking off the last of the document types that we need to cover. So we're going to talk about memos, not super exciting. And then we're going to talk about texting, which is full of all kinds of interesting things. And then we're going to have a little grammar thing about the 4 types of sentences. So that's what we're doing today. As usual, we'll go over the reading first. Okay, so we're talking about interoffice memos, which, kind of have gone out of style now that almost everybody is connected via email or whatever. But, once in a while they still come into play. So when do you want to do a memo versus other kinds of communication? Well, if it's really too long for an email and you want to have a permanent record because you're sending out a memo to like everyone in the company about some new policy or something like that. So it's a little bit more formal. And there's still a possibility that you have workers in the organization who are not on email. So, you wouldn't be able to send out an email to, or text or anything like that to those folks. So, what kinds of stuff? Like I said, new procedures, new instructions, some kind of report, any kind of change in policy. So they're very similar to an email. In fact, they may be an email. So this is something that would be blasted out to, like a lot of people typically in the organization. So it doesn't carry any really sensitive information. And usually use the direct message strategy. The usual parts of the 6 parts of the email. And we use just things we already know, using headings and bullet lists and enumerated items to give it better readability. And generally close with some kind of call to action. Things that are different typically are you don't really, for a memo, you don't really need to close it with a, what we call a goodwill statement here that you would find in an email or a letter. Although just stopping abruptly, a little bit weird. So usually you have some closing thought for your closing sentence. You can use a showing gratitude or encourage feedback in your closing. Things of that nature. But yeah, as usual, avoid closing with just overused expressions, sincerely yours, things like that. Okay. Then we're going to talk about messaging, both text messaging and instant messaging, and we make a distinction between those two, which may not be a standard thing, but we're just going to do it here. We're going to say that instant messaging is kind of the incorporating all kinds of this type of messaging. So that would be text messaging from your phone to a person's phone number, but it also could mean using some of the enterprise systems like Teams or or Slack, which we're going to go over as well. So inside that, we have text messaging, which is, what you're familiar with from your phone, where you're texting one or two people that you have their phone numbers. Text messaging technically currently uses a thing called SMS, short messaging service, which is limited to 127 characters. But there are extensions. If you're texting if you're on iPhone, you're texting to another iPhone person that uses a more enhanced protocol, which gives you more media enhanced things like different font sizes and colors and things of that nature. So 81% of Americans own a smartphone, and a lot of people depend on them for their internet access. They don't even possibly own a computer. That is their computer. So,
Oh, wait, what's today? Oh, it's Wednesday already. Oh, 19th. Shit.
yes.
I'm behind here. Thought it was Tuesday.
It's week 13. We're on module 13. Okay, so yeah, fueled by online security, legal compliance concerns. So yeah, the traditional texting just from your phone to another person. Again, we're going to go into much more detail about it, but that has issues in terms of security for companies. And then another thing that you get from that instant messaging is the presence functionality. In other words, I can see if you're online or not, which is good and bad. So what are the good things about instant messaging and texting? Well, obviously, it's quick, real time. I need a question I can ask right now. We're going to talk about this thing called decision latency. This shortens that latency. For workers that are dispersed across the globe, it can be quite convenient. And then we can also use it sort of the other way around, not just for employee to employee, but
Are you
more.
pooping again? Are you tired? Oops, sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know I was unmuted. I was talking to the baby. Sorry.
Well, hello, baby. Maybe your baby will turn out to be a great writer, So what I was saying, customer engagement. So the other way around, not just using it for internal employee to employee communication, but using it to talk to your actual customers, which is becoming more and more of a thing now. Okay, so that was what was good. What's bad? Some employers consider chat and messaging yet another distraction, for sure. Already email is a huge distraction, and we talked last week about strategies to manage your inbox, batch things up, try not to do a lot of context switching. Well, here's just yet another one, which is even worse because there is an expectation of real time here. If you're using some of the not built for enterprise systems for instant messaging, like WhatsApp, for example, those could leave the company open to a liability because they're not secure in the environment of the company, and sensitive information could get leaked. Also, the usual things we deal with email as well, hacking, getting the phishing viruses, things of that nature, also are on these instant message platforms. We're going to talk about this discovery. In other words, all this communication is considered disclosure or potential disclosure in lawsuits. So it has to be recorded and kept for some period of time. And I'm sure you've seen some news items where people get themselves into deep hot water by sending improper text messages. So some best practices. I guess the number one, and again, we're going to really get into this, is you need to comply with whatever the company policies are. They may have a policy of it's forbidden. You cannot use it, period, whatsoever. Or they may have a policy which is you can use it, but only on our platforms. Or they may have a policy which is, hey, whatever, anything goes. It's kind of the wild, wild west right now in terms of instant messaging and text. A lot of companies don't even have a policy. And if you ask them, they'll just kind of go, I don't know. But even whatever they have or don't have, you want to make sure that you don't disclose sensitive information like financial things, employee sensitive data. And don't say anything, of course, that could damage reputation or that of your organization, same as email. And you know, again, I don't know why I have to say this, but avoid harassment, discriminatory content. That's just true all the time, everywhere. And as I mentioned about some news items you may have seen recently, don't forward or link inappropriate photos, video, and art. Yeah, again, why do I need to say this? It seems like it should be obvious. Don't text or chat while driving a car. Keep your business, personal contacts separate. Limit personal messaging. So the problem, again, we're going to get into this, but one of the problems is you're used to using text messaging a certain way with your friends and family. And when you use it with coworkers, you have a tendency to fall into the same modes of behavior. Unnecessary chit chat, all that kind of thing. Not using good grammar, using a bunch of emojis. You want to try not to do that. Again, like we talked about with email, but it's much harder with texting. You want to try to keep a distinction between work and personal. Texting is an effective alternative to a phone call or email, but you, again, need to check what your company policy is. And even the specific person that you're texting, you have to make sure it's okay for them to receive a text from you. We're going to talk about Slack, which is probably the most popular enterprise messaging software. 10 million daily users, wow. So Slack and Teams is the other one, have sort of grown. They started off as just instant messaging platforms for business, but they added more things, and now they can do video conferencing, instant messaging, to direct one-to-one or groups of people like you do on your phone, but also to channels, which you can set up channels and put people in them for certain topics. And everything's logged, so there's a security layer there. Again, what are the downsides? It's very distracting. This constant barrage of dings and, you know, I need you to respond ASAP. Personally, I can tell you that all the places, so I'm a consultant and I go to different companies. So in the last 20 years, I've probably been to 70, 80 different companies. So I really get a good perspective on how different companies do different things. And most of the time, we start off with Slack. Seems like a good idea, but people just get this Slack burnout. And after a while, they're like, I'm not present on Slack. They just turn it off. There's also been some news articles about Slack where companies were allowing employees to be on a channel about kind of just their own personal stuff. And then people were talking about how they're looking for jobs, other places, whatever. And the company kind of fought back on that. So maybe not a good idea to do that kind of thing. Again, you're not texting your friend, right? You're texting to a channel in the company. And you may not even know who's even on that channel. Okay, so yeah, let's get into it a bit more. So that was the reading. So again, we're talking about two kind of non-related things here, inter-office memos and short messaging, text and IMs. So this is about memos. And this assignment is pretty straightforward. We're just going to look at this memo, and then we're just going to label the parts of the memo. very, very similar to what we did last week with the email, you know, what's the subject line, what's the body? That's step one. Step two is you're going to briefly describe the type of information that's expressed in each section that you've labeled. So we can take a look at it. Or maybe not. Okay, we'll just download it. We'll just download it. Okay, so just to review, step one, label the parts. So just like we did last week with the email, got your heading, subject. So you notice there's not really a salutation here, right? Not really necessary for a memo. This is the body. This is some bullet points, headings. Here's some information. And then here's sort of the call to action, right? No later than October 21st. So you can just label those and then briefly describe this information in here. So not too complicated. Okay, and then this is the second part. What we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at this document. Again, I think I'll just download it. And we're going to use the track changes. And you're going to, so this is sort of the before, right? So you're going to read through this memo. And you're going to make a list of 5 weaknesses that you find, you know, using this, all the things that we've learned up till now. And then you're going to revise it. You're going to turn on the track changes. You're going to revise it with for all the things that we've learned up till now. And then change the sender to your name, and you're going to submit it. So we won't do this in class, but we can take a quick look and just see what we see here. So, I mean, obviously starting off with anyway, comma, that's long lead in. Here's my report. That whole thing can go, right? Also, I think thanks for asking me to attend. That's a long lead in. We can get rid of that. A lot of this. I think some white space in terms of bullet items and headings would really help this out. Please do not hesitate to call. Trait, business phrase. That's just some of the things I see. I'm sure there's some grammar errors in here. So, you know, what we've been doing. List the weaknesses, revise, submit.
Professor Dwayne.
Uh-huh.
So, memos also need a salutation or they don't?
They typically don't, because they're going out to such a large group of people that it just kind of, I guess you could say it really uses the direct message strategy where it just comes right out to the what I'm trying to tell you here. But you could put one in if you wanted to, but it would have to be a very general kind of like fellow employees or something like that, right?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So to be honest, the whole memo thing, they're really kind of going out of style. They are still sent once in a while. It's difficult for me to get too excited about it. It was just honestly like one of the last document types that we had to cover. So we've done that. So I don't know why this is not obeying my background settings in PowerPoint, but I will just also download that and we'll just run PowerPoint. Okay, so now we're changing Changing topics, and we're going into the more interesting part, the instant messaging. Okay. There be dragons. Anybody know where this "there be dragons," where that came from? That saying? Really? Okay, so way back in the day, before the Europeans discovered the New World, they were sailing around, and the map makers at that time, if they didn't know what was out there, in other words, literally uncharted territory, they would put a little picture of a dragon and say, "There be dragons," which means watch out. We don't know what's out there, right? So that's what I'm saying here about text messaging in the business context. There be dragons. So it's relatively new to the business world, and the workplace has not established standards. So be careful. What you have to do, and this might take a while, if you're a new hire in a company, say, you need to get a sense of what their appropriate communication styles are. So you can ask them, but often they won't know. They don't have a policy yet, haven't figured out, or maybe they do. But whatever they do, so let's take an example. Even if they say, oh, yes, it's allowed, but you have to use our Slack platform. Well, what you're going to find is a lot of people sneak around that Slack platform. If they have a phone number of a coworker, they'll just text them because it's sort of easier for them. Is that allowed? Is that not allowed? As I said earlier, some workplaces say no instant messaging, period. Right? Others are like, this is the greatest thing ever. Use it all you want. Yet others, something in between. Again, be careful, hard to know. I had a problem putting this slide deck together because I felt like no slide could I say definitively you do this. It's just so ephemeral, right? So it's not very satisfying for me to tell you, well, it could be this, it could be that, it could be another thing, but that's just the reality of the situation. Blurred line between business and personal texting. Yeah, so you're used to texting your friends and family when you just do an SMS style text on your phone, right? So that's your first inclination. Oh, now I'm going to text somebody at work. And so you probably use the same kind of behaviors that you did when you were texting friends and family. Emojis, abbreviations, slang, that kind of thing. Well, that's probably not the best choice. So when you are texting someone that's in the same organization as you, you have to sort of ask yourself, what's the context that I'm texting them? Am I texting them as a friend, or am I texting them as a work associate? Let me say two things here. Just because you have an associate's phone number does not necessarily make them your friend, right? So you may have gotten another worker's phone number for one reason or another. Maybe you are supposed to text them some report or some detail, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are your friend, right? So the way that you would text your friends would definitely not apply when you're texting that person. Conversely, maybe they are your friend, but that doesn't mean that you get to sidestep the company texting policy. Just because you have their phone number in your phone and they're your friend, you still can't text them like company financial information or things that may be against the company's texting policy. So you have to be very careful. First, identify which context you're texting this person in, worker or friend, and then even in there, be careful that you're not disobeying company policy. We talked about this with business letter. We talked about this with business email. In some contexts, all communication has to be stored for some period of time for legal reasons. There are some places where you can't even bring your phone or your laptop, whatever. You can't bring your own device. Call that BYOD. If it can't support the security features that the company requires. So I have a story. A while back, I was doing work for a company that deployed surveillance drones in like war zones and things like that. And we were working on some communication upgrades. And where this company tested everything was out in the Nevada test site. And if you don't know about that, it's interesting. You might want to Google it. The Nevada test site is 1/3 the area of the state of Nevada, and it's a secured area. It's a no-fly zone. And there's various facilities there, including this company's little airstrip and their facility. You need clearance to get into the test area. And when you get there, there's a gate and a guard, and he has a big gun. And he already has all your information. You had to be cleared, but he says, do you have any phones or cameras? And you say, of course, yes. And he says, give them to me. And you have to give up your phone. You have to give up anything that could take a picture to this guy at the gate, at the guard gate. And then you drive into the Nevada test site and you drive for another 20 miles to get to wherever you're going. You do your work, and then at the end of the day, you come back out and he gives it back to you. So that's sort of the extreme case of you can't bring your own device. So other places, as we mentioned, have a policy where you can do instant messaging, but not on your phone, not with SMS. You have to use their enterprise system. And that's because they need these necessary layers of security and storage. So some of the reasons why we want to use or like to use instant messaging is this decision latency. Decision latency is the time delay between when a decision is needed and when a decision is made. So this is one of the reasons why a lot of organizations have really flattened their structure. You don't have 15 people that you report to, because each one of those hops to those 15 people is another delay in the decision latency. So it's become more and more common to have a very flat hierarchy in companies where you just have one direct report, right? So obviously instant messaging is good for decreasing that decision latency. If I need an answer to a question for a report, or I'm talking to a customer or something like that, I can just text the person who knows, and hopefully they're there, and hopefully in a moment they can give me an answer back and I can continue on my decision. Another good or not good thing is the online 24/7. So instant messaging is another way that you're kept online all day, every day. For some people, they love that. They think that's great. For others, it's really a big pain. On the other hand, so as opposed to, say, a phone call, if I get a text, I don't necessarily have to answer it right away, right? I can just take a look at it, say I'll get back to that in a second. For example, you're driving. Although phone messages can go to phone message. Okay, so given all these kind of danger things I've been mentioning, it may be a good idea to restrict your use to one of the collaboration platforms. This does two things. First of all, as we just mentioned in the last slide, those things have built-in security and storage that certain companies need to comply with legal restrictions. Secondly, like I was talking about with email, you can pretend like there's two different systems and they don't interact. You have your business platform messaging system, Now it's very clear, this is a business context. There's shouldn't be confusion about, well, I'm just texting you as a friend here, although that does happen. It's just another way to kind of silo the two personal and business things. There's a lot of platforms out there. Not all of them are considered business collaboration platforms. So I'm talking about apps like WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, messaging, Signal, and Discord. Those aren't usually considered business things. They're usually considered more personal platforms. Although if you've been paying attention to the news, you saw that certain plans for invading certain countries by our government were done via Discord and got leaked out. So that's why you probably shouldn't use those apps. The other ones that I am thinking of in terms of business collaboration platforms are Slack, Teams, Google Chat. Those are usually considered more business oriented. So let's get Slack. So that's the icon for Slack. You have to install the Slack application either on your phone or on your computer or both. So what does it give you over just text messaging from your phone? So the first thing it has is what it calls channels. So these are things created by whoever owns that Slack platform set up in your company. And they usually have a channel for, say, different products that the company is working on or different departments, things of that nature. And then people are added to the channels. So you can text to a channel and it will go out to select group of people that are on that channel. You can also do direct messages, which are more like your phone. You're just one-on-one with another person, although you can add more than one person to it. But here you have complete control over who's on the conversation, whereas on the channel, you don't have control over that. It was set up by someone else. It has threads, like email threads, where a single conversation that's going back and forth between people, it will tie them together in one connected viewing situation, so you can see, all the things that were going on in that conversation. Because like email, but more than email, instant messages are very short, ping back and forth things. So the threads tend to be very long with very small pieces in them. You can also quickly share files. You can sort of drag and drop a file either through a direct message or a channel, and it will go out to everybody. So it's pretty convenient. Easier than, saying, I put it on Google Drive, can you go get it? Here's where it is, right? And then they have a thing they call huddles, which is their video conferencing. So it's like Zoom. So for a lot of companies, they don't use Zoom, they don't use anything else. They just have Slack, and that is their one and only thing for all communication in the company. So here's what it looks like. Here I have a Slack set up, talking to myself. So you have the direct message area, you have the file sharing area, you have this sort of where all the channels are. So if you want to talk to a channel, click one of these. If you want to talk to directly to a person or persons, you go down here and do that. And then here's the huddles for creating a video conference. And it's kind of like you would expect to get a thread here with all the communications between either a specific channel or specific people. And you just type in there like you would anywhere else. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use. Okay, the other big one is Microsoft Teams. And it has a logo that looks like that. And very similar. It has a chat facility for individuals and groups. It has meetings, which is just like Zoom, video conferencing, even with breakout rooms. It can kind of do, you can collaborate on documents simultaneously. And it has a little bit different kind of organization than the channels, but it accomplishes the same thing. It has teams and channels, so you can, organize groups of people to be on a certain team or channel. And this is what it looks like. So you have your control bar over here, which is am I chatting, am I doing a meeting? It also has a shared calendar facility. Here it shows your recent chats. And then here's a specific chat. Here I'm chatting with Fox Factory, the bicycle guys. And we're talking about some technical thing here. And you can drag and drop pictures. It's very nice. All this stuff is saved. Like, I don't know, this was back in December of last year, right? I can still come back to it and see all these things. Okay.
Chats too. You could do group chats too in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this is a group chat, right? There's a couple of people here. And it has this communities thing where you set up those teams or channels. So you can talk to, a team that's working on some project, something like that, right?
Are these used mainly for work or for like the workplace or?
Yeah, I don't think anybody uses these just for their own personal thing. You can.
Yeah.
Overkill, right? If you're just
Yeah.
one of your friends or something, you would just use your phone. But
Yeah.
these are more and more taking the place of just regular SMS chat texts on phones in the workplace. For all the reasons we just talked about, gives you a clear delineation between this is business or personal, has the backup, has the security layers, encryption, all that stuff. So I just kind of wanted to give you, a heads up on these things because undoubtedly you'll see them. And I didn't want you to wonder, what the heck is this thing? Okay, so that was that. Okay, did this work? No, it didn't work either. So I'm going to download this one also. Okay, so we're changing direction here. We're going into our grammar corner and we're going to talk about 4 sentence types. So 4 sentence types are these: declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory. And you can kind of tell by the name what it is, right? Declarative, you're sort of declaring something. It just makes a statement or declares a fact. And this is the most common type of sentence. Interrogative, you're sort of interrogating, right? You're asking a question. Usually, almost always, will have a question mark. Imperative, it's imperative that you do this thing. That's a command. And exclamatory, you're exclaiming something like, wow, holy moly, and that will typically have an exclamation point. Okay, why do we care? Why is it important? Like we've learned the other sentence types, the compound, complex, all that stuff. We're just trying to give you a richer toolbox to pull from when you're writing. So it's important to know each sentence type and when it would serve a specific function in your writing. For example, the declarative sentence presents a fact. Well, the interrogative is clearly asking a question, right? So now that you know these types and their forms, which we'll get into, you can add that to your writing. So why do you make this distinction? Why is it important? So again, we talked about like why we have the compound and complex. Otherwise, your writing is pretty boring. It's like those Dick and Jane primers that you had in elementary school. So this can vary your sentence structures in your writing, keeps the reader's attention, adds a little bit of rhythm. Can also to help convey the tone and purpose. I mean, clearly, if you write a sentence which is a command, it's obvious that your tone and purpose is different than if you're asking a question. More, it enhances your control. So once you understand the construct of each of the sentence types, you can make your choices about how you want to present something. Like, do I just want to have a bunch of declarative sentences, or do I want to interject a question in there to kind of change it up and make it a little bit more interesting? Okay, so here's the 4 types. We're going to talk about their function, which we already have, and then an example, and then the usual punctuation. So declarative, like I said, this is the common one, probably 80% of your sentences. It just tells you something. John likes Mary with a period. Interrogative, it's asking a question, so I have a question mark. Imperative, you're commanding. Usually exclamation mark or period. Notice it doesn't really have a subject here, just stop. We'll talk about how the subject is implied typically in imperative. And then we have exclamative. So that's just sort of expresses surprise, right? Oh my, with exclamation mark. So we're going to go through each one in a little bit of detail. The declarative, as we said, makes a statement, tells us something, a fact. They normally a period. They use the regular word order, subject, verb, object, right? And that's the most common kind. Interrogative is asking a question. You want information. They always end with a question mark. And the usual word order for that is the W, what, where, why, when, right? Those words. Plus auxiliary verb, plus subject, plus the actual verb. We'll see some examples. Imperatives are giving a command, telling you to do something, and they end with a period, or they can end with an exclamation mark. And it's usually just like a base verb, like stop. And like I was mentioning, there's usually no subject because the subject is understood. It's going to be you. Someone's giving you a command. Exclamatory. These sentences express emotion or surprise, an exclamation. And they always end with an exclamation mark. And the usual word order for those are what, some kind of adjective, right? Or how, some kind of adjective or adverb, plus subject plus verb. So let's look at some. Okay, so now that I've told you all that, I have to tell you this. It doesn't always work that way. So there's the function and the form, right? So here's a couple of examples. You can use the declarative form to give a command. You will now start the exam. So I'm giving you a piece of information, but I'm also telling you to do something. So it has the form of a declaration, but it is fulfilling the function of a command, right? Here's another example. Wow, can Jill play the piano? So we have the exclamation, so it's a surprise, but it's sort of asking a question. Like, I didn't know you could play the piano, but I'm surprised about that. Or you can even also ask a question with the declarative form. Bangkok is in Thailand. So you're asking the question really, but it's a fact that you're relaying. So it's important not to just like, oh, it has a question mark, it has an exclamation mark, therefore it must be this. It's important that you kind of recognize what's the function it's trying to accomplish in the sentence, right? Okay, so now that we've seen that, and it's time for our break. So before we get into this assignment, which we'll just do in class, let's a minute break. Here's my fancy timer. Okay, we'll be back in 10. How you doing on your homework? Okay? You good? Looks like you're all right. We've got your Zoom recording set up, figured out?
Yes,
Good.
I'm working on that.
Good.
It's due next week, right?
Yeah,
Because next week is the week 14,
week 14, exactly, right.
and it's the week of
Yeah.
Thanksgiving next week.
That's right. Mhm. Yeah, so I'm not giving you too much to do this week because I realize, you're all working on your presentation, so you should have plenty of time. Work on that stuff.
Yes,
Yeah, I think the homework for this week.
it's just
probably
the
do
writing,
is
the,
those 2 memo things, which we're probably doing 10 minutes.
yeah, it's
easy,
just,
yeah.
I can knock it out.
And then, what's the other one? Oh, I have some sentence. We're gonna do this one in class though. So,
Oh, we are?
yeah, the sentence type one.
Yeah. We can do it as a class.
Exactly. And that's all I have for this week, so that you have time to get your PowerPoints and a lot of people still don't have their outlines and, do your recording. You can do your recording this week, or you can wait till next week.
Yeah, I was gonna do that next week.
Yeah. So that's what you do. And then you share it to the discussion, and then,
Do we submit it on the discussion post or what?
yeah, I'll go through that in week 14 module, but yeah. Just like you've been doing your discussion things.
Yeah.
Just have your room
Put
recording.
our recordings there?
And then you're supposed to pick 2 other ones and watch them and then comment on them. And then week 15 is really kind of like just catching up, make sure everybody's caught up. We're gonna talk about ethics, but it's really just a lecture. Because I can't really assign anything because you don't have the week to do it, right? Because the
Yeah.
next week's the final, so.
And then we have all our finals the week after.
Yeah, and there's I have to talk with Jennifer, because typically the finals week schedule is different, right?
Yeah,
But we don't really need this room to take the final. We could do it in the CTC.
we can go see, because we have all the computers down there.
Exactly, so, and they couldn't get this room reserved for this particular time that we're already in for class, so. It looks like, yeah, kind of all on your own to do your exam wherever you want to do it, CTC
Yeah.
at home.
Or we can do it at home.
Which is our usual thing anyway, so no surprises there. But I'm gonna talk with Jen about it, just to make sure that, there's not some requirement you have to be proctored in the classroom or something.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that worked.
Okay.
Good morning.
Hello.
I'm super late.
Better late than never, right?
Exactly.
We're just in
There's no
10
class
minutes.
today.
We're in 10
Oh,
minutes.
we're in the break. Oh, thank God.
So you changed your topic, right, which is fine.
I can't remember, that's why I couldn't remember which one it was in and all, and I'm always in a hurry, so I didn't even switch it or change it. But I think the one I wanted to pick, you said was already taken, I mean, I think you told me, and that's why I switched it up.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I switched it, but then again, I don't remember if it was from the one that I told you that then I'll switch it, because we did talk about
We
it.
did talk about. it.
That's
I think we
why-
did 3 different things.
Now we're
I
at
think
the.
you originally asked for 3x3 and someone else had that, although there's a couple of duplicates.
No, there was one, it was,
Oh, it was dangling modifier. That's
Yes.
We had our conversation
Yes.
too. I'm like, okay, and then you sent in your outline. I was like, well, this is something else, which is fine.
oh, so that wasn't the one, see, then I confused myself, that's what that is. I'm the one that got confused,
It's all good.
but I did this because I keep losing it, oh my goodness.
People, I find them almost.
Do you, I'm telling you, I lost the first one, that one was from last before the mid semester, and I had a lot of other work, and I'm just like, cause you know how you leave it in there for a year to finish it, and I never finished it. So I started to do it, but then I was like, I'm all right. That's terrible, but yes.
Well, great.
But anyways, I'm really gonna get on medication. I'm very, cause I just found out that I have AD.
All right.
Yeah, so I just found out that I'm sure I've had it all my life, but
Yeah.
that's so weird that, you know, and coming here to Korea was how I found out.
Oh, really?
I'm really gonna start
Okay,
that
that's-
medication.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that is a good thing, yes, because I am scattered everywhere, and with everything that goes on, it just kind of takes over me, you know what I mean? And that's what I think. feels
We were
like-
just talking about instant messaging and all that stuff, and it's just like, everything goes by now, like, so quickly, and attention spans are so short by everybody, it's crazy.
I feel like, yeah, I don't know if it's because it's a college that everything runs fast, because I kind of feel like we need to sit on it and talk about it, and then it moves on, and that too, that's why it's kind of complicated, but
I mean, I feel bad that the case is like this, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why I'm saying
We're in
like.
week 13 already.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
We're past the 3/4 point. I just got, because like, you can only withdraw up to the 75% point, and last weekend was the last time to draw. So we're already at 75, past 75%.
So then should I withdraw or no? See, I haven't got down to that. You said you cause I do some and then I'll pause and then
You're-
I'm telling you, I can't get onto it unless I do it from midnight on. But yesterday I fell asleep around 6. And then I just kind of woke up, but I had a procedure done. So I was getting ready for that. So I knew that I still had that. Cause I fell asleep like this in the couch. And then I woke up like around 9 and I'm like, I'm going to sleep. I'm surprised that my 13-year-old was all wrapped up at that time too. I was like, whoa, that guy will go to 2 in the morning if I'm not yelling at him. So
My son's the same way. It's like this weather, it makes me want to just hibernate.
that's because my mom too. My mom, but then again, she's old, so that's different, you know, her bones hurt and all that.
Yeah, so don't worry. I mean, I did say, I'll wait till we start and I'll say it again.
I
But,
was just telling that lady that comes here, Kayla, she's in this class, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I was just telling her that I kind of like that. I'll do my work all at one time because then when I get to the quiz or the test.
It's fresh.
Yeah. And then she told me like some other trick that I was like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't even seen her. How are you doing, Christy?
Jennifer.
Jen, how are you doing?
Good,
Yes, everything good in the class? You're catched up and everything?
I'm working on getting caught up.
I know, me too, okay, so don't feel bad.
Everybody pretty much.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing, that it just goes. It's pretty good.
That's the,
Talk about it, sorry.
that's the cheesy alarm thing. Is.
Nothing different, you know?
All right.
That's a weird one we need.
You guys have to do that too?
Yeah,
Oh, when did that start? We've had to do that forever.
I don't know, but I do
You have
it.
to use the authenticator?
This one
They
gives
did
me,
mention to me that they were gonna start requiring students to use authenticator, but I didn't think that was gonna be until next semester or even after.
no, it's on.
Okay. Okay, we're back. So a couple of little information things before we get back into it. I kind of mentioned this at the beginning of class, but I'll say it again. This is week 13. We have 14 and 15. Those are the last two class meetings. 16 is your final exam week. So you need to get caught up. Like I said, your airplane is running out of runway. That there was a metaphor. So focus on that. I'm not giving you a lot to do. I know you have your presentation project to get done, right? Some of you haven't even turned in your outline yet. You need their outline, you need your PowerPoint slide deck. And then for next week 14, that's when you'll actually put it all together, do your recording and your submission, all that kind of stuff. So I know you have that work to do. So that's why I'm not really loading you up this week with very much to do. Just get caught up. You know, that week 16 is going to come up faster than you realize. And then part of week 15, I believe, is we're going to have private one-on-ones, either through Zoom or email or whatever works for you. And we'll set up schedules for that, where we're going to check in, like, how are you doing? What assignments are you missing? What's your grade at this very moment going to be? All that kind of thing, right? If you haven't done exam number 2, it closes tonight. So get that done. What else? If you haven't experimented with the Zoom recording and the lighting and getting all that set up, you really need to do that. If you're having trouble or issues with it, come and see one of us in the CTCs. We can help you out with that. I am going to go over next week the whole process of how you put your slides up, how you get the Zoom up, how you do the Zoom record, all that stuff. So don't worry about it. And then how to submit it into the discussion group. Just for now, you just need to make sure that your bits and pieces are getting put together. Your outline, your PowerPoint slide deck. Okay. So we were talking about the 4 different kinds of sentence types. And this is the assignment for that. And we're just going to do this in class. We're in module 13, lucky 13.
156 million.
So I'll switch to student view as you guys are getting where I am. Okay. So there's 2 parts to this. What we're going to do is we're just going to copy these things and put them in the text box below. And then we're going to fill in these charts. Okay. So let's just do a little copy here.
Oh, they don't let me do that.
Won't let you copy?
Mhm.
Can you highlight it all like I just did?
Yeah.
And then Control C.
Sorry, do we get up at 12:30 or 12:45?
12:45, but we'll be done way sooner than that.
Because they're asking me to come to work next door and they're saying lunchtime, not 12.
We'll be done
No, it's
in
okay.
probably less than half an hour. Okay, so Jennifer, I was able just to mark it, copy it, and paste it in the text box.
For both parts?
Yeah, the whole thing. You can do them all at once. You can do them each one at a time, whatever you want to do. Were you able to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just worry, it looks a little different. Okay, so here, these are the 4 types, right? So let's start with the declarative. What are the clues that this is the type of sentence? So if you saw a sentence, what would be some clues that it's a declarative sentence? First of all, what would probably be the punctuation at the end?
A period.
Period, yeah, so you could say ends with a period. What else about a declarative sentence? What does it do? What's its purpose?
It states something.
It's a fact, yeah. and I'm using fact kind of loosely, it just states something. So we kind of already said this. What's the punctuation? It ends with a period. That's how we can tell what it is, and that's what it should do. And what would be an example of a declarative sentence? I'm going to say Mary had a little lamb, period, right? We're just telling you something. All right, next one, imperative. You remember what imperative means? If someone said, it's imperative that you do this right now, they're giving you a command, right?
I'm falling behind them.
You're falling behind. I'll give you a moment to catch up.
Is it to me which one, module 13
Module
discussion
13.
or the week wrap up
For the wrap up, we're in
discussion?
sentence type worksheet.
I don't know, it doesn't show the lines, that's what there it is.
It is. So just highlight all this. You can get that too. Yeah, there you go.
But then, yeah, so that you right here. Yay. And we're gonna paste this
Yeah, text box.
and that's where we're at. What happened there?
Hey, what happened to your box? Got all squished.
It's got no lines over here, but it could put them in there, right? So no, where do we tell it? No lines.
You want the lines, you want the chart, you're gonna fill, we're just filling in this chart, but I don't know why, maybe once you type in there, it'll, oh, you can do that. Yeah, yeah. When you type in there, it'll probably stretch out. I don't know why yours did that, mine didn't do that.
It depends on the computer, I noticed they do weird things.
Okay, so imperative is the command, right? So how do you know what clues would a sentence give you that might tell you that it's an imperative sentence? So it would probably not have a subject and just say something like, I'll just say maybe no subject. Because it's implied if it's just the command like, stop. Not now. I need that immediately. There's not really a subject in there, right? And what would it end with? It could end with a period, right? Or it might end with an exclamation mark. And what would be an example? How about something like just stop right now? Exclamatory. So what would be some clues that it's an exclamatory sentence?
You put that one stop right there. No, but we're in the other one.
Expresses strong emotion.
Yeah, so it expresses, I'm just gonna say emotion or surprise, right? And what about the punctuation? Pretty much always ends with the mark named for the sentence type, exclamation. Now, even though we used it here, it can also be for these, right? So what would be an example? Here's one that I often use when I'm grading your homework. Nice. Interrogative. This is the asking a question. So what are clues that it might be an interrogative sentence? Well, I just said it. It asks. It asks a question.
Yeah.
And what about the punctuation? Ends with, if you're asking a question, write in the name, question mark. Yeah, right in the name, both of these. Exclamation point and question mark. And let's think of an example. Oh, heck, I don't know. How about that? Serves two purposes. It's an example of an interrogative sentence, and I'm also asking you, are you done with your outline? If you haven't done your outline, you need to get on that right now, because you were supposed to use your outline to do your PowerPoint slides. Okay, so that's part one. Part two. Now I'm gonna just give you a heads up in part two. There's some tricky ones in here, okay? I don't know why we decided to do tricky ones, but we did. So the first one, take a set of Minifine tablets and call the office tomorrow. So what is that? Is it just declarative? Is it just stating a fact? Or it doesn't seem to end with a question mark, so it can't be interrogative. It doesn't have an exclamation mark, so it's probably not exclamatory.
Imperative.
Yeah, it's giving a command, right? It's telling you do this. Right? So I'm just gonna be lazy and copy that and paste that right in there. We need help. Okay, you can go two ways on this one, right? I mean, it's got the exclamation mark, so we know that narrows it down pretty much to either imperative or exclamatory.
Exclamatory.
Yeah, so it could be either one. It could either be it's sort of a command, it's like we need help, but I think in this case it's not really, again, back to that form versus function thing. So this could be in the form of either imperative or exclamatory, but the function in the sentence is the person's expressing their emotion. They're like, boy, do we ever get this in the CTC. Almost everybody is like, I can't deal with this, I'm going insane. It's like, calm down. So I'm going to say that this is exclamatory. But if you said it was imperative, I'd say, yeah, okay, I can see that. How about this one? Bring a photo ID and your insurance card. So are we just stating a fact? Seems more than that. It's not asking a question. It doesn't seem to be necessarily expressing much emotion. So that kind of leaves imperative, right? We're telling you to do something. It's a command, right? Telling you, bring your photo ID, bring a photo ID. You notice I didn't say a person here or a group or anything. It's implied. I'm talking to you. I'm giving you a command, right? Okay, this one should be pretty easy. Is it time for our break? Well, we see the question mark. So which one of them uses a question mark?
Exclamatory.
Exclamatory uses a,
Interrogative?
yes, interrogative uses a question mark, right?
But I thought it was like, it's not demanding. Yes.
No, it's asking the question, right?
Yeah,
We're talking
we
about
can-
break. Yeah, again, it's kind of hidden in these sentence type words. Exclaim. I'm exclaiming something, so it's like, yay, right? Imperative. It's imperative that you do this right now, right? I'm interrogating you. I'm asking you a question, right? And I'm declaring a fact. So sort of buried in these sentence type words is sort of a reminder to help you. All right, next one. The assignment is in Canvas. Okay, it's not asking a question. It doesn't seem to be very full of emotion.
But declarative.
Yeah, it's just saying a fact. It's just telling you a fact. The assignment's in Canvas. Okay, this one's tricky. Bring the defibrillator. Stat. What does stat mean in hospital lingo? It means
Right away.
right away, instantly.
So
Right?
that's exclamatory.
Well, it's got an exclamation mark, but we know that can be either one of these two, right? It can either be a command or expressing emotion. So, like I mentioned in that last slide, you have to kind of be careful. We look at the function and the form. So it's got the form, it could be either one, right? So we have to ask ourselves, well, what's the function in this sense? What is it trying to do? Is it like, maybe you should bring the defibrillator, maybe you shouldn't, it's okay, don't worry about it. No, it's like this guy's gonna die, right? If you don't give me that thing. So I would say it's giving a command, even though it ends with an exclamation mark.
So is it exclamatory or?
I would say it's more imperative. I say it's more giving a command with some emotion as far as the function in this sentence than just expressing some emotion. Right? It's got a command right in it with a bit of emotion. Step.
So it's imperative?
Imperative. It's telling you to do something right now. Okay, how about this one? Dr. Schultz Garcia will be in to see you in 3 minutes.
Declarative? It's
Yeah,
telling you.
again, this one's a little tricky. It could be two. It could be declarative or it could be a command, right? So which way do you go? You kind of, again, how's it functioning in the sentence? Well, to me, I think it's just functioning as I'm just giving you some information, right? I'm not telling you that you have to be ready to see this person or anything like that. I'm just telling you a bit of information. So I would consider this declarative. Anyone disagree? And the last one, all the question mark ones should be pretty obvious because there's only one type that always ends with a question mark. When did you last eat? I'm asking you a question. When did you last eat? Hey, why is it just going over there? There it goes. All right, we just did the assignment. I'll leave it there for a sec. Everybody got it?
No.
No.
I'm at Mr. Schultz Garcia. Hard, I just.
Yeah, I mean, these words are kind of,
Unusual for me.
yeah, kind of strange looking. But if you just kind of, like I was saying before, kind of look at the root of the word, and that'll kind of give you the clues which what.
Give them more time. Yes, that's not bad.
Okay, you got it?
Yes.
All right, so you can just hit that submit button and we're good. I need to make the spec small again. How do I do that? Escape. Escape. Yes. Okay. So I'll even submit it as test student. I get confetti. Student view. Okay, and we end up with a discussion. So I'm asking you 3 questions in this discussion, and this one is maybe a little bit more in depth than I usually do for the discussion modules. Because we talked about texting and that's kind of part of the whole social media thing. I'm asking you this first question about what this guy Zygmunt Bauman had to say. Most people use social media not to unite, not to open their horizons wider, but on the contrary, to cut themselves a comfort zone where only the sounds they hear are the echoes of their own voice, or the only things they see are the reflection of their own face. Social media are very useful. They provide pleasure, but are they a trap? Do you agree? Why or why not? So, yeah, pretty deep. So take some time to get a good answer to that one. And then again, I'm not loading you up much for this week because you're supposed to be working on your presentation project. How's it coming along? If you haven't done your outline, you're way behind. If you haven't done your PowerPoints, you're behind. But you got time, so get those done. Have you experimented with your Zoom recording? Do you have your setup figured out? Do you have your lighting okay? Get that all worked out. Next week, we're gonna actually do the recording, put it together with your PowerPoint slides, put it on the discussion thing, and I'm gonna go through all the steps on how you do that. So don't worry about that. You just need your bits and pieces together.
First PowerPoint, and then the recording.
Yes, you starts with the outline. Use your outline to do your PowerPoints. And I don't know if you saw how to do that, how you time it and go minute by minute. If you haven't, I recorded last week's session so you can watch
It's
that.
on here?
It's on there.
Oh,
If you
great.
go to the wrap ups, I'm putting them in the no, wrong. I'm putting him at the very beginning, the introduction slide on each module. At the end of it will be shortly after the class period. Give you a chance to clean it up, put it up on YouTube. It's embedded right there. So if you go, I'll show you after this, we go to module 12 at the beginning and there'll be the recording there. And if you don't remember, that showed you how to put the timer up on the computer with Word using the read aloud function in Word, so it would read aloud your outline. So you get an idea, is the timing good? Is it 5 to 7 minutes? If not, I have to adjust my outline to be 5 to 7 minutes. And then the second thing you would do is you go back and do it again, and at every minute point or so, you would put a change slide marker in your outline. And then you have to decide between the last slide marker and the next slide marker, that information in your outline, it's in between those two things. What part of that are you going to make it into a slide? So you have slide per minute, so 5 to 7 slides, 5 to 7 minutes. That's how you do it.
There's like something to it.
Yeah, if you haven't done that exercise yet and you don't remember like all the steps of getting it to read aloud or whatever, go ahead and look at the video. It'll be helpful. And you can just fast forward to that part. Okay, as usual, you'll reply to at least one person in this discussion thing and have a little discussion about it. All right, so like I said, not much this week because you're supposed to be working on your project. So what did we cover? Memos, pretty boring. There's 2 assignments there. They're very minor. One's tell me what the parts of this memo are, and the other one was fix up this badly written one. You know, our usual drill. Pretty easy. You could probably do that. Both of those in under half an hour. We talked about the structure of that memo. Mostly we talked about the whole texting at work thing. And then we had our grammar corner talking about the 4 types of sentences. Any questions on any of that stuff? Okay, if you have any issues with all the bits and pieces of your presentation thing, reach out to me, walk over to the CTC, Zoom in tomorrow. I'm in the Watsonville CTC all day long.
Today? Oh, no, over there.
Today I'm in Aptos CTC till 2. Tomorrow I'm in Watsonville CTC 9 to 5. Can either come in or just Zoom in.
And tomorrow, I know that tomorrow, I wanted to switch tomorrow because it's I have class and then I go to work, and I wanted to switch from today or even Friday, but they don't want to do Fridays. Anyways, how many more weeks do we have?
Not many. So this is 13. We have 14 is where we're basically going to do, do your presentation thing, right? 15, we're going to talk about ethics and business. 16, there's no class meeting. That's finals week. So there's final exam. We have another quiz in next week, quiz 3. These quizzes are, if you haven't noticed, getting you ready for the exam, right? We had quiz 2, exam 2, quiz 3, exam 3. So yeah, I mean, there's really only 2 more class meetings, and those are going to be pretty minimal because I really can't assign you work to do in 15 that's of any substance because you don't have a week to do it, right? You have your exam next week. So we're getting close to done. So yeah, look at your grade thing, any red ones you're behind, you need to get those in. Try to get blue or white if you can. And especially if you haven't done your outline, that's way behind. You really need to get on that. I think everyone, I'm sure everyone at this point has had their presentation topic assigned to them. If for whatever reason you're like, I can't figure this out, this topic's no good or whatever, yeah, reach out to me, we can change it, right? Not a big deal.
As long as it's together with the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I mean, it all has to be the same thing. I've already gotten a few people's PowerPoints. I am really impressed. Oh my gosh. Not to put stress on people, but some of you are like, wow, fancy.
Computer savvy.
Well, you know, just into it, I guess.
Yeah, that too.
Makes mine look like bleh, but whatever. It's not about that, really. It's just about getting it done, right? So that's really all I have for this week. Like I said, you got a lot of work to do, so try to get caught up.
Am I missing an exam or a quiz?
Let me look after we're done here. Okay. Go back. Oh, I was gonna go back and talk about, show you where the video recordings are, right? So for example, last week was 12. Yes, exam. That's exam.
I
Exam.
need a space, so that's why I didn't do it. I almost did.
So yeah, week 12 overview from last week. And there's the video, right? The recording. Okay,
Almost there. Should be too beautiful thing.
I can show you after this. So no questions? Everybody's good? Everybody knows what to do? Okay, let's get on it.
And I wanted to print my thing, but
If you come over,
I know I
you
have.
can do it. Yeah, if you have
Trust me,
time,
I'm printing half of the time that
if you have time.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll talk to you all later.
Thank you.